I think every time he opens his mouth, he should be arrested for air pollution.
What have you done, Brock? Ask him a real question, man. What have you done, Brock, in boxing? What have you done?
That's what I'm about to do. I'm about to beat up on an old man who's well and truly past it.
Hey, what's up? This is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. Now, who's ready for some fighting words? In this video, I want to do a fight breakdown for Brock Jarvis versus the return of Keith "One-Time" Thurman. Really quick, if you like the videos, please take the time right now, subscribe to the channel. It literally takes one click. And also, if you could, hit that thumbs up button. It does help, it shows love, and it supports this channel. So, we have a fight breakdown. If you're unfamiliar with how I do things, basically I put both guys side by side. I run down a list of attributes. Whoever has more points in the end, that's the individual that I'm going to pick to win this fight. Let's start this thing off with power. Who has more power? Is it Keith "One-Time" Thurman or is it Brock Jarvis? Well, Brock Jarvis has 22 wins, 20 KOs, while you have Keith Thurman, who has 30 wins, 22 KOs. So it's a tie right there. They both have knockout power. However, Keith Thurman has one-punch knockout power. Brock Jarvis is a grinder. That's what he's going to do. He's going to grind you out. He's just going to beat you up. He's more of a Rocky Marciano. He's just going to beat you up. He's not, I don't think he's necessarily looking for a knockout. I just think he grinds people down, and there comes a point where they just don't have anything left to fight back. They don't have anything left in their reserves. And they really don't see a way out of this because he's closed ranks so close. There's no way for them to maneuver, and they're just kind of stuck in this place with him. And it's exhausting on your mind. Obviously, it's exhausting on your body, and you're sore, and you just kind of want out. I'm not saying that people are quitting in there with him, but I am saying they kind of get beat to exhaustion, and then they go down. So, but when it comes to knockout power, I have to give it to Keith "One-Time" Thurman. I do think he has more one-punch knockout power. Speed, Keith "One-Time" Thurman. Now, granted, I'm saying speed, but keep in mind Keith Thurman has been gone for a very long time. He hasn't fought since 2022. So I am saying speed based upon what he was once able to do. And that was one of his biggest characteristic traits was his speed. You know, he wasn't very easy to find. He was hard to find, and he was hard to contain because of his speed. Now, granted, today, I don't know where he is in terms of speed. He's been gone so long. You're only getting older. We only get older. So I don't know where he is in terms of speed today. It's going to be interesting to see how he looks. It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to fight the way he fought Mario Barrios back in 2022. Now, granted, Mario Barrios is not as big and not as strong as Brock Jarvis. So I really don't know how this is going to play out. But I'm interested to see. Let's see. Heart. Who has more heart? So there's a part of me that can make an argument for both guys. So the argument that I can make with Keith Thurman would be the Porter fight, would be the Danny Garcia fight, would be the Manny Pacquiao fight, where he literally had to grind those fights out. He literally had wars in those rings, in the ring. However, that's not Keith Thurman's game, and he doesn't necessarily want to fight on the heart. That is not what he wants to do. He wants some space. He wants to be relieved of that extra tension. He doesn't want to fight on the heart, and it makes him very uncomfortable. If you want to see Keith Thurman uncomfortable, you just box him in, and you'll instantly see an uncomfortable individual. While you look at Brock Jarvis, he's not athletically special, and he's not boxing-wise gifted. He's just a hard worker, a big, strong, hard worker who will not quit. That's who he is. His personality comes out while he fights. That's the difference between the two. Keith Thurman is more of a finesse guy. While you look at Brock Jarvis, he's just a hard worker. You know, he's a coal mine worker. That's what he is. He's just a hard worker. And he's just willing to grind things out. He's willing to fight it out. He's willing to slug it out. If you want to go to the back alley and do it, then he's willing to do that. But is he going to beat you on his boxing IQ or anything like that? No, he's not going to do that. When it comes to heart, yes, I'm going to have to give it to Brock Jarvis. I think he has more heart because every fight tends to be the same fight where he's just warring it out with someone. And because of that, I'm going to give him heart. Cardio. Who's better cardio? Well, Keith Thurman can move for 12 rounds, and he's done it several times over and over. However, Keith Thurman doesn't throw a ton of punches. While you look at a Brock Jarvis, like I just said a moment ago, he's a grinder. Grinders have to throw a lot of punches. That's how you grind people. You have to throw a lot of punches. That's part of the grind game. You got to throw a lot of punches. In which case, you have to be very well conditioned to grind people. Because the grinding doesn't just take place on your body, it also takes place on your opponent's mind. You have to be able to round after round after round, go the distance if need be, round after round after round, grind them out. And you need cardio. I'm definitely going to give it to Brock Jarvis. Defense, keep one-time Thurman. Granted, I'm saying all this. This man hasn't been in the ring in a very long time. But I'm saying all this. Now, from what we last remember from Keith Thurman, I would definitely say he has better defense. But again, that's attached to his legs if he still has his legs, because his legs were a large part of his defense. If he doesn't have his legs, well, then it's going to be a very interesting fight. If Keith Thurman comes in looking old, it's going to be a very interesting fight, and I don't think it's going to be a long fight. But those are some factors we have to factor in as we do this this fight breakdown and think about this fight. Counter punching. Keith Thurman, I think he's a better counter puncher. He will go first. He will go first. He'll get off first, but I think he's a better counter puncher. Brock Jarvis is not a bad counter puncher, but then again, like I said, most of the time, Brock Jarvis is the type of guy who's going to put his head in your chest and he's just going to go to work. That's what he's going to do. So it's not about counter punching at that point. It's not about counter punching. It's about who's willing to waste or spill more blood and show more guts. That's what it's about. Let's see, creativity. Keith one-time Thurman. He has way more finesse with his hands. I think he puts his combinations together way better than Brock Jarvis. I think he is a more methodical puncher, fighter, boxer. I think he's a lot more intelligent on where he's placing shots. He's not just a wild puncher. Brock Jarvis is going to hit whatever is in front of him. Keith Thurman is looking for select targets on the body to attack. There's a difference. And like I said, he's very creative when he's doing it. Keith Thurman will lead with a shovel hook. Like, he's very creative. In no way, shape, or form am I saying he's Roy Jones, but I think he's creative on the level of a Roy Jones, where once upon a time, he had the speed and the power to get away with a lot of things. Now, here's the defining factor. Keith Thurman has been in there with better opposition. Manny Pacquiao, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter. He's been in there with the likes of guys like that. And when I look at Brock Jarvis, he hasn't been in there with the likes of guys like that. He hasn't been in there with anybody the caliber like that, except for Liam Parle. He hasn't been there with anybody the caliber of fighter as Keith Thurman. And mental toughness, anybody who gets in there with a prime Sean Porter, gonna be in there for a long night. Just period. Manny Pacquiao, gonna be in there for a long night. Yeah, Keith Thurman fought an aged Pacquiao, but that aged Pacquiao was still a very game and dangerous Pacquiao. I have to give it to Keith Thurman. And just based on their resumes alone, I have to give it to Keith Thurman because he's going up against tougher opposition. Range. What's the best range for both guys? Obviously, Keith Thurman wants to keep some distance. Obviously, Keith Thurman isn't dumb, and he realizes that Brock Jarvis is young, and he's big, and he's strong. So obviously, he wants to keep his distance. He doesn't want to make this a Rocky fight. He does not want this to be, Rocky 2, 3, 4, or 5. like he doesn't want that. He doesn't want that at all. He wants this to be a slick, smooth fight where he can stick, he can punch, he can move, he can get out of dodge. Now you're looking at Brock Jarvis. Brock Jarvis wants to close ranks. He wants to close ranks really quick. In every round, if I had the pleasure of training him, I would strongly work on just closing off the ring and attacking him in the body, attacking him in the hips. That way we can take away his mobility early, and then he becomes a sitting duck. If Keith Thurman without his legs, this is a very different fight. And it's a very now even fight. You see, there was one factor that I didn't mention, and that was the intellect of Keith Thurman. The boxing IQ, the intellect of Keith Thurman. I might go into that a little bit more, but it's there. The problem is, I haven't seen you in 2 years. and that's why I'm a little bashful to bring it up because I haven't seen it in 2 years. Like, yeah, it's great that you can see things in your mind and you know how things play out. He's also worked as an analyst, so he's a very analytical thinker. However, can you make that happen on the night of? I don't know. I do not know. Brock Jarvis wants to keep this thing nice and close. Again, body shots. Punch him in the chest. Don't aim for the head for Keith Thurman. Punch him in the chest. Get him off balance. Punch him in the shoulder. Get him off balance. Make him twist his body. Then you can go to the body. That's what you need to do. Or hit him in the shoulder, then go to the body. That's what you need to do. Don't focus on the head. And then you don't need to, honestly, Brock Jarvis doesn't even need to focus on Keith Thurman's head until like round 5. Okay, like you don't even need to focus on the head. Just punch him in the chest. Hit him in the body. Hit him in the hips. Let him know this is going to be Sean Porter 2.0. I'm bigger than Sean Porter, and this is going to be even tougher than the Sean Porter fight. Because Keith Thurman was uncomfortable from round 1 to the last round. He was very uncomfortable in that fight. Let's see. My new category, I have go for it. In this category, all the chips are against you. Maybe you went down twice early in the fight, and your coach is like, listen, you got to go out there and do something. You got to close this thing out. If not, you already been down twice, and he won the last round. Listen, you got to go out there. You got to finish this guy right now. You got 3 minutes to get it all done. Which guy has the heart and the ability to go for it? I think both guys have the ability to go for it. And Keith Thurman got knocked down by Manny Pacquiao. He jumped back up with a smile. I think both guys have the ability to go for it. Which one has the heart? Which guy I think I'm going to have to tweak go for it? Which one is willing to endure more pain to get the victory? You got to be mad at me, Brock Jarvis. Again, his whole game is built around grinding people out, people. That's what he does. He'll grind you out. In order for you to be a grinder, you have to be willing to accept pain. You have to be willing to take yourself mentally to a place where it's uncomfortable. It's not just uncomfortable for you, but you're going to make it uncomfortable for him. It's uncomfortable. And we all know what Keith Thurman's kryptonite is. Now let me get into this. Danger. Who's more dangerous? Brock Jarvis. Why do I say he's more dangerous? Because he's bigger, because he's younger, because he's been more active, and because he has something which is a kryptonite to Keith Thurman. It is a well-known fact. Keith Thurman does not like getting hit in the body. Well, guess what Brock Jarvis does really, 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 one more really, really well? Double hooking to the body. That's his signature move. Hook, hook. That's what he does. And he does it really well. He's really sharp with it. That's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for Keith Thurman to get this young, big, strong kid off of him. It's going to be a problem for Keith Thurman to create space and distance between the two of them. It's going to be a problem as the rounds go on and the accumulation of punches add up for Keith Thurman to endure the pain from this onslaught of punches. I can tell you right now, Keith Thurman is not going to match the punch output of Brock Jarvis. He's not. He's not going to match that. And he's not going to be willing to sit in the furnace and take the heat toe-to-toe, flat-footed, because Brock Jarvis is going to try to bring that out of him. I like Keith Thurman, but the fact of the matter is, time waits for no man. You've been gone for a very, very, very long time. So I'm going to do another fight breakdown once I see the open workouts. I want to see just how well Keith Thurman moves in the ring. Now, granted, you're not getting hit, so it doesn't really mean anything, but I still want to see how well he moves. That's the main thing. This whole fight breakdown shifts and changes once I see how well Keith Thurman is moving in the ring. But that's my fight breakdown. Drop your thoughts down below.